Hey beautiful souls, you will be here for Agam Talks. This is Anil Levi. Just like what you had seen in this thumbnail, same as the way this video is nothing. Okay, let's get into the video. The last day I had taken a decision. That means I have to make it the language content in English itself. For this particular decision, I have a strong reason behind that. The strong reason is my fear. Most of the subscribers of mine maybe know that I'm an English teacher. Even though I'm an English teacher, I'm finding much enough difficulty to speak in English. So I just evaluated myself and found it. Yes, I have fear to speak English in front of a large audience or the mass audience. The last day, I just set up my camera and all other things for shooting a video. But I couldn't speak a few lines in English. I was checking my journal, my script, and I was trying to read those points what I had written. Then I realized that yes, I have that fear to talk to this large audience. From that fear, I just, try to accumulate some kind of an inspiration or some kind of an energy, that bravery to make a video. I was watching many contents in YouTube, especially language contents, which has come up with by the Indian creators. For example, Alina Race, Learn with Sam and Ash. Those videos actually helped me, or those channels actually helped me or inspired me a lot. Then I scrolled down to the first videos of those people. Then I realized one thing, they were also struggled too much when the starting of their channel, especially while they are speaking. But later, currently, they are on the top of it. Like they improved a lot and they are making lots of contents. So I felt a little bit of inspiration from those scrolling down process. That made me to make this video. I was not a bright student at all in the schools or colleges. I was an average student. So I studied in a government school in my native language, that means my mother tongue, the Malayalam medium. I never got an exposure towards the English because we never have any kind of an English atmosphere here. Then I went for the graduation and I completed that graduation in BA, that means Bachelor of Arts. But at that point, I never realized that English has its own prominence. Then I went for the Bachelor of Education, B.Ed. All the teachers had to know that there is teaching practice. I also have to face the same problem. So I made it lots of lesson plans and I just by heart it and I went to the classroom. And what I had by heart it, I was just spitting in front of the students. One day, I just forgot the lesson plan. That was the moment I was stuck. Literally, I was just like a stone in front of the class. The senior teacher who were observing my classes, those people were sitting there and the students were there. They were looking at me, but I couldn't deliver a speech or I couldn't take the class. From that moment, I felt a little bit of humiliation. So I felt, as an English teacher, I felt too much of humiliation. From there, I started to learn English. And I got a good friends, and those friends helped me to improve my language. That doesn't mean that I'm speaking that much of good English or I'm not making any kind of a mistakes. If you are listening my speech right now, you could have to find loads of mistakes. Am I right? Yes. So let's come to the point. One of my friends called Surabel, he helped me to improve. That means he had given some tips. I don't want to give those tips for improving your language, like all those tips actually we had dealt it, or maybe you had seen it in any other videos. What he said to me, just try to read the newspapers. So I was confused that because my vocabulary scale was very less. When I was buying some kind of a newspaper, I couldn't read it or I couldn't recognize what they had written it. Then he just proposed me, just go with Deccan Chronicle. So he said that the Deccan Chronicle is the basic line newspaper and that will give you a base element for your language, development. Then I started to read the newspaper and he proposed me, you should have to keep it a notebook or pencil with you And while you're reading, you could find some difficult words. At that time, you should have to write down and find the meaning of those particular words or the phrase from your dictionary. And just use it, those words and the phrases in your day-to-day life. Then you will by heart it. Or otherwise, if you're reading a dictionary and you can by heart how much words you want to by heart it, that much of words you can easily by heart it. But if you are using in a day-to-day life, then only it will become a practicalized. Then I started reading newspaper. After 1 month, he just gave me another advice. That was, he said to me, just watch it, the English news. So I started to watch the English news, especially, NTTV and other Indian nationalized, channels. From there, I come up with these persons called Karan Thapar, Rajdeep Sardesai, Barkha Dutt, and Kapil Sibal. Then I started to watch their interviews. I started to watch their debates. From there, I started to learn English. So I'm very much thankful to these people because they helped me to improve my language totally. And I found a drastic change in my language. At that moment also, I couldn't speak fluently. Then he said to me, you should have to read the short stories. Then I started to read the short stories. I never went for any novels. That short stories, that also helped me to how to build a sentence. Because the short stories are created by some kind of a small sentences. So I just learned it from that, short stories, how to create the sentences, the sentence pattern. And gradually I started to read the novels. So that was the basic elements what I had, made it in my language acquisition period. And another thing is, I would like to listen the podcast. Currently, what I'm doing, I would like to listen the podcast, especially BBC Radio. I was a great admirer of Arundhati Roy. So the BBC Radio had made it an interview with Arundhati Roy. I just downloaded that and I just kept it in my phone. Whenever I feel I'm a little bit of, suppressed, at that time I would like to listen her voice. And she speaks very nicely. And her language style is very common and everybody can understand. That was the period I recognized that if you're speaking English very fastly or if you're using any fascinating words, that doesn't mean that you are fluent in English. If you can communicate with somebody in a very slow manner, what you are saying, the other person how to understand what you meant, that is real communication. Then I went for the post-graduation period. From that post-graduation period, I just, come up with lots of good professors. Those teachers helped me to improve my language completely. In 2019, when we hit by the COVID, at that time we realized that English language has its own importance because our schooling system, the education system completely changed into the online media. That means we have to take the classes through the online and we have to make it the content in YouTube or any other social medias. At that time we have some kind of a fear that, if we make some contents, how does the people feel? Same as the feeling right now also I have. I'm an English teacher. If I made it a video in English, if I made it some silly mistakes in that video, how did the people will react or what the people will talk about me? What other people think? That is the real problem I was facing in the last few days. But what I said, same as the way I just got into lots of videos from YouTube and that inspired me to make this video. Here I would like to tell you that you should have to just avoid your fear. That's not easy. Definitely, that's not easy. I couldn't say that, it's easy to overcome, get rid from your fear. But when you are ready to take a step, then you can easily overcome that fear. And maybe you feel that, how the newspaper reading will help to improve our language. Definitely, if I get good views on this video, I'm going to make it an elaborative video on that particular topic. How the newspapers will help you to improve your language. This is what I said at the beginning of this video. This video is nothing. So this is Anil V signing off. See you on the next video.